前呢，就是在家里的时候，就是跟妈妈、姑姑他们学习。就是要如果一放水回来，就是要帮妈妈他们做。那时候就是经济上的问题，没有做没有饭可以吃。
Yuanli Township in central Taiwan is home to the island's indigenous bulrush, which is a tall reed-like water plant. Over 300 years ago, the Aboriginal people started using it to make mats after drying the plant under the sun, thereby kick-starting the art of bulrush weaving. The craft was later adopted by Han Chinese settlers, who developed it into a vibrant industry, producing mats, hats, and even handbags. That's because dry bulrush is light and flexible, while cooling to the touch. Growing up in Yuanli, 70-year-old Cai Jinlan learned the craft from her mother and aunts when she was 8 years old. Her family of 7 relied primarily on the income generated from weaving bulrush.
那时候我在做的赚的钱，比我爸爸还多。我爸爸那时候在做的时候，一天才几块，39块。而我在做的时候，一个那个就是草席，小小块这样，一块20块。一天和我妈妈这样，我做好就放在旁边收边，让我妈妈做这样，一天5块，就100块钱了。
After 3 years, Ms. Tsai said her father was able to buy a piece of land from the money they made. But bulrush weaving isn't just the main source of income for Ms. Tsai's family. It's also the main industry in Yuanli Township. During the Japanese colonial period, almost every household in the township was making money from bulrush weaving, and bulrush was cultivated solely for that purpose. In the 1920s and 30s, woven bulrush products were among Taiwan's 3rd largest exports to Japan, behind sugar and rice. That's because plastics were not widely used then. So bulrush was a popular material for producing mats and hats. And as time went by, weaving bulrush became not just a money-making skill, but also brought families and communities closer together.
大家都是在开玩笑啊。和我姐姐他们这样也是，都是开玩笑啊，真的。和隔壁的邻居的姐姐他们，有时候和他们做，那时候真的说那时候在赚钱真的那时候的钱呢，真的很好赚。那时候和他们，和那个隔壁的姐姐他们，晚上做到几点？你们知道吗？10点。
Though times have changed, the bulrush weaving has declined in economic significance. Ms. Tsai still weaves it every day to pass her time and to make some money.
These are dry stems of bulrush. They not only feel smooth and cooling, they also have this really refreshing fragrant smell, which is very soothing. Now, these women here are weaving bulrush into different types of products. The craft takes months or even years to master.
Today, though, the craft is rapidly dying out, and might have done so if not for nostalgic reasons.
但是这个产业呢，在民国60年代以后，这个产业没落。当然，它没落的原因有蛮多的，最主要的是外销中断。因为我们跟日本中断外交关系，另外呢那时候台湾工业兴起，有很多塑胶的产品代替了原来另草编织的这个作品。
At the height of its popularity, he said more than 1 in 3 residents here knew how to weave bulrush. But now there are only some 100 out of the 30,000 residents in the township who are still familiar with the craft.
我的感想就是讲，这款物件无做，就无个传承了，就怕剩哎，哎呀，很可惜啦，哎呀。
为什么？
这物件好着啊，这物件迄领敢若足环保的物件，毋是像化学的物件，讲会将迄环境污染嘛。这种手艺嘛是来学起来真好。像阮即摆这个年岁来到遮，就阁有这个工课要做。
To prevent the art of bulrush weaving from disappearing, local residents founded the Taiwan Yuanli Handiwork Association 14 years ago. And their main goal is to pass down the tradition to the younger generation.
其实整体来说，在无形文化资产其实都有高龄化的趋势。那尤其是传统技艺的部分。那如果说透过这样子简单的体验，可以去开启大家的兴趣，然后有让这个技艺可以有机会往下延续的话，是一个很有意义的事。
透过这个机会，就还蛮难得可以学到这项传统的工艺，然后能想象，如果小朋友对这没有兴趣，或是没有办法继续传承下去，其实会蛮可惜的。
Aside from teaching the craft, the association is also working with young designers to develop new products.
因为我们想要贩售令草的商品，除了我们传承本身令草之外，我们更希望有很多人喜欢令草这个产业，认识这个产业，然后来购买我们的商品嘛。像是我们现在推出蛮多的商品，就是不是纯粹令草编织的，它是可能有结合布料啊，结合其他皮革类的商品。
So far, the association has also taken part in exhibitions overseas, including London and Japan. This in a bid to promote the art globally. But it's also a race against time. There used to be over 30 shops selling woven bulrush products in Yuanli, but today only 4 are left. One of them is owned by 34-year-old Laila Liao and her husband, who opened it 7 years ago.
所以其实我们2个人就会很希望说，透过我们年轻人的推广，或者是透过我们结合设计去加值这个产品，可以让更多人可以了解这个属于台湾的文化，其实很值得被推崇或者是被认识。对，那我们会希望就是透过我们可能从原料端，然后到生产，就是编织到加工的每一个环节，我们都可以让每一个职人在这个位置上的每一个人，他们都能够觉得自己参与这个产业是很值得骄傲的事情。
Over the past 7 years, Laila said her earnings have doubled. This as more and more young people are beginning to accept the environmentally friendly products. And she hopes that in time to come, and with increasing popularity, more people will come to know and appreciate the art of bulrush weaving, thereby ensuring that it will not get lost in the sands of time.
In the heart of Klang, in West Central Peninsula, Malaysia, a timeless ritual unfolds each day. Amidst the symphony of the squeaking machines, swirling smoke and crackling flames, the 65-year-old Tan Lun Chuan, a third-generation coffee roaster. For nearly 5 decades, he's labored in this weathered factory, and like clockwork, at 7 every morning, Lun Chuan tends to his vintage machines, expertly stoking them with wood and charcoal.
Gas punya bau masih tarah macam kuat lah. Itu kayu punya bau boleh kuat sikit, tapi sedap lah. Atau kasih bapa kasih saya lah. Tapi itu hari masa bapa cakap tutup lah. Ini kerja maya susah punya lah. Tapi saya masih mula mana mau pergi ingat goreng kopi lah. Goreng tempat baru lah. Tapi pun umur 25 jam sampai baru 65 tahun lah.
Once roasted, the beans are mixed with sugar and butter. This caramelizes the beans and gives them that familiar aroma and flavor that's adored by traditional coffee drinkers at local coffee shops called kopitiams. On average, the roastery makes 120 kilograms of coffee powder a day to meet local demand and to fulfill online orders. It's a laborious process that's less chosen these days, as many opt for modern machinery and reduced manpower. Mr. Tan's roastery stands as one of the rare few in Malaysia that continues this enduring craft.
Boleh buat lah, tak boleh buat kita tak mau buat lah.
In recent years, Malaysians are drinking more coffee. On average, every person in the country drank 52 cups of coffee in 2017. Today, the number has doubled to more than 100 cups per person. And while modern cafes have become trendy, more people are rediscovering their love for traditional coffee, eager to enjoy the familiar and cherished flavors they offer. In Malaysia, the heart of coffee culture beats in humble kopitiams, warungs, and local stalls like this. Here, the traditional coffee is more than just a drink. It's a cherished legacy served with a side of heritage and community. "31-year-old Muhammad Hanif launched this open-air cafe 2 years ago. His vision was to create a space for young people to unwind and socialize. Business has been thriving, with customers enjoying the laid-back atmosphere inspired by the old kampongs or villages. He says the traditional coffee is the most sought-after item on the menu.
We got this idea, which is kampong style or warung is very close to our people. First, it's been our culture. It's been a long time, it's been our culture. We growing up drinking kampong coffee. We love the smell, you know, the smell of kampong coffee, the taste, and then plus have like very complicated method to roast.
Malaysia typically imports coffee from its neighbor Indonesia, but the growing appetite for these aromatic brews has spurred some coffee farmers to take up the mantle. This plantation in the southern state of Johor once used to grow fruits and vegetables, but its focus shifted to growing coffee beans in 2011 after Jason Liu took over the reins from his father. The 41-year-old coffee enthusiast saw an opportunity to harvest beans locally and breathe new life into traditional farming methods. The farm grows the Liberica variety of coffee beans. It's a less well-known variety compared to the popular Arabica or Robusta and makes up only 1% of coffee supply globally. So Jason, why is the Liberica coffee variety the most harvested type in Malaysia?
Last time, the colony, they bring this variety to come to Malaysia and he plant in lowland because this variety is very strong, disease resistant, and also the environment adaptation is very wide, it's really strong because our traditional coffee industry, the culture, they like this variety.
With its strong flavor profile, Liberica beans are ideal for dark roasting, which makes them perfect for traditional coffee. But the beans must be processed and roasted skillfully to preserve its desirable flavor notes and to prevent it from becoming too bitter or acidic. Over a cup of the strong brew, Jason shares that the biggest challenge lies in ensuring the sustainability of the coffee farming industry and safeguarding fading trades like traditional farming and roasting. This labor-intensive process may fade away altogether.
Coffee industry in Malaysia, actually right now is a sunset industry. The coffee plantation mostly is the old farmer. The average age is about 60 years old. So actually I very worry about this one. So I think this is times to encourage the young people and let them know about the future of Liberica coffee. Let them to go back to planting. Yeah.
Jason hopes more can be done to revive the local coffee industry through cultivating a more inclusive and sustainable future for the sector. Otherwise, it may join the ranks of other dying trades and traditions in Malaysia as the country continues its relentless march into the future.
When you heat up a special mix of sand, it transforms into molten glass. While it's still red hot, you can roll it, cut it, or squeeze it into molds to make everything from tableware to sculptures. The furnaces, or fornace, on the island of Murano near Venice, which have been burning for hundreds of years, now run off gas instead of wood or coal.
Ci fa molta più difficoltà a lavorare.
Luciano Gambaro says the dramatic rise in gas prices after Russia's invasion of Ukraine hit businesses like his hard.
Per noi il gas è come l'acqua per una persona, è assolutamente vitale e indispensabile. Quindi noi non potevamo aprire nemmeno un forno se a quel prezzo del gas.
With millions of euros of support from the government, Murano's glass industry has managed to keep its furnaces burning for now.
Il futuro ce lo dobbiamo conquistare, nel senso che sappiamo che viviamo un presente non facile, però siamo fiduciosi perché, ripeto e ribadisco, noi non vogliamo essere l'ultima generazione che mette la parola fine sotto una storia che insomma ha 7 secoli, quindi stiamo combattendo anche per questo. In questo senso siamo molto fiduciosi e non ci arrendiamo.
On the other side of the canal is the relatively new kid on the block, especially when you're talking about 700 years of history. Roberto Beltrami started Wave Murano Glass in 2017 and has also had to cope with eye-watering costs.
So our gas bill historically has always been around 8,000 to 10,000 euros a month, and July of last year our gas bill was 60,000 euros.
Despite facing similar challenges to the rest of the island though, Roberto's team is different.
So we have a lot of young people, which is unusual. One of the big problems of Murano is the generational replenishment of young talent. So it was always a goal of mine to generate like a new generation of glass blowers that learn this new way of being a craftsman, what I call a craftsman 2.0.
But for Roberto, it's not just Murano's aging workforce that's the issue, it's the entire mindset.
The industry has not adapted at all to the needs of a modern world. I can't repeat it enough. And so I think there are still plenty of opportunities on the market, but the companies need to adapt, and I hope that we can be leaders in the future in this sense.
A sense of hope from one glassmaker who believes Murano needs to update its production and marketing techniques, not cut itself off from a changing, volatile world.
So we just left the island of Murano and we're on a Vaporetto boat heading into Venice. Once we get there, we're going to head to a different part of northern Italy where there's another craft this country is famous for.
Cremona, a small city in northern Italy, is famous for its luthiers or violin makers.
The ribs and the scroll are inlaid with the particular tools, small tools.
Angelo Spezzaga from Cremona's violin making school showed me how designs have changed over the centuries. Andrea Amati and Antonio Stradivari, who lived and worked in Cremona in the 16th and 17th centuries, are seen as the founding fathers of the modern violin. In the spring of 2020, though, the city's violin makers faced a new threat. Cremona became one of the first places in Europe to be devastated by COVID-19. Like other educational institutions, the school was forced to switch to distance learning.
È stato veramente un periodo molto molto difficile e in effetti Cremona era stata il centro dell'inizio della pandemia in Italia che poi si è sviluppato in Europa. E quindi noi come scuola abbiamo dovuto affrontare diversi problemi, soprattutto il fatto che gli alunni stranieri che erano qua a Cremona per studiare non potevano ritornare nel loro paese.
Today the school is once again filled with the sound of instruments, both musical ones and chisels and hammers. Lorenzo is carving the back of a cello out of a tough piece of maple.
I like the idea that a simple piece of wood can in the future make good notes and music. At the finish you can understand if you have made a good job or not.
Judging by the young people from all over the world who've come to the school in Cremona, an ageing workforce isn't going to be a problem for this industry anytime soon.
While Cremona is perhaps the spiritual home of violin making in Europe, over the centuries the craft spread across Italy and the rest of the continent, each city, each workshop having its own unique style.
From his shop in central Rome, Mattias Menontu makes and repairs violins and other string instruments.
When you can change some things, but I think it's important to keep a style, because this is what represents yourself, you know, in the violin making world.
He says violins are sculptures and isn't concerned about the craft itself dying out. He does worry, though, that distinctive styles are becoming a thing of the past.
All the makers today, they sort of make one type of instrument. Like, of course, we do something which is on the style of Stradivari, Guarneri, Amati, maybe if you do Baroque, but it's true that the regionalism is disappearing.
So, to keep a craft alive, simply supporting a certain number of artisans isn't enough. Just like an orchestra, different styles can come together to create something that will truly endure.